everyone, it's Shalita, the nonprofit Easter O'Neill. I'm back with another video, and today what I want to talk to you about, which is so very important, so many people ask me different questions about, is the monies when you're trying to raise money for your nonprofit organization. And I will say, I've run into a lot of different types of people who will, or nonprofit visionaries who maybe some of them get caught up in one type of revenue. So they might just get contracts and that's it. And they're working, with an agency or, some entity where they're contracting or subcontracting out their services, and that's it. And that is all. And I want to say that may feel lucrative for a minute because there are organizations that 90% of their income are contracts, and they're good with that. And it's cool. And, and they've got good people who are making sure that money is continuing to come in if they're meeting all of the requirements needed to continue to get that money. But, with our tumultuous times with the economy, and a lot of you have already seen, we have our government shuts down sometimes, stock market plummets, all these different things happen, and it affects the money ultimately. So you want to make sure that you have different types of streams of income that are coming in to your nonprofit organization, just as anything, right? Just if nowadays having one stream of income coming into the house is not enough. Look, ma'ams and sirs, you need to be out here with your talents and skills. You might have your 9-to-5, but you might cook cakes or bake cookies really, really well. You better start your entrepreneurship, your business, your enterprise, okay? Having some funds coming in, because nowadays one stream of income is just not going to cut it. The same thing with the nonprofit organization. You have to make sure that you've got money coming in from different streams, because I'm going to tell you, and it took it for years. I pieced the money together. $25,000 here, $100,000 there, $50,000 here, to piece it together in order to run the organizations. And, and I don't want to make it seem like it's easy, because it isn't, but it's doable, right? It's an art. It's a skill that you learn. That's why I'm here as your nonprofit development coach. Don't forget about me. I'm here to help you figure that out, figure that piece out, learn that art. But you've got to have those different pieces coming into the organization, and each of those pieces entails a different thing. So, for example, we all know about foundations. We all know about grants, because a lot of people, that's the first thing that they think about. When you think about a nonprofit organization, you think about free money. You think about public free money. Give me the money. Okay. I'm going to write a grant and get some money. I'm not going to have to pay you back. I'm going to change the world. That's great. So that's one way. But that also includes building relationships with people. Y'all know how I feel about grant writing. I tell you, it's a tool. It's not fundraising. It's not the end all be all. Okay. Same thing with you. So you got your foundations, your grant dollars, and you also have your major gifts, or with your individual donors. And I'm going to tell you, 76% of the money that nonprofit organizations get come from individuals, comes from people. And that's another skill. That's another art of building, maintaining relationships with people. But, if you're a people person like me, little social butterfly, it's all good. And even if you're not, there are ways to figure this out, to get better at it, because we all need each other in one way, shape, or form. You got to learn how to reach out and to connect with other people, especially running a nonprofit organization. It's not going to serve you to be siloed or by yourself trying to do your work in a corner, because it's not sustainable, right? So we've got the foundations, we have major gifts, individual donors, contracts. Nothing wrong with contracts. You might be able, a portion of what your organization does might be to provide trainings to other organizations. So maybe you were certified in some sort of training that others want to also get certified, or they want to bring you in to teach their population on it. So, or you might have individuals who you have trained in certain areas or certain fields that a company wants to then contract with you in order to hire those individuals, right? So sort of like a referral, sort of staffing situation might be something like that. You can have a contract that way. A lot of organizations, like I said, will build their revenue source and their revenue streams mainly off of partnerships like that, or contracts. You don't want to have contracts, different type of situation. It's not always huggy feely fuzzy relationship building type of things. Typically they're governed by rules and regulations, maybe on a federal level, maybe on the state level, where you do the paperwork. It's very black and white. Do this paperwork, this is how we need it done, turn it in by this time, you'll get your money. There's not like I have to build up this relationship, I have to make sure I take them out to lunch, or I have to make sure that we're vibing not necessarily for contracts. And you'll find that there are a lot of large organizations who aren't touchy-feely. They rather just do contracts. That's all they do. Don't talk to them about building up major donors or major gifts or relationships or foundations. What? No, they just want to do the paperwork, do the deliverables, and that's it. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that either. But that's another kind. So far we've got foundations, we've got major gifts from individuals, we have contracts. Okay, don't forget about the contracts. Gotta have contracts. And then you can also have it where for me, I guess it could be part of the personal piece when you talk about your networks, because initially when you're starting up, you're going to be doing more around the major gifts, the individuals. You're going to be tapping into your individual networks to get access to the foundation dollars, as well as we got another one. We got another one. Corporations and corporate sponsorships, corporate foundations. There are businesses out here that want to give back, that want to get involved, that care about different causes and different issues, and your cause might be one of them. You have to be thoughtful and be very, aware that you need to figure out how to engage those entities as well, because the beauty of engaging corporate sponsors is similar to like with contracts, where it's very, you said you're going to do what? You're going to do it? Here you go. Okay. Invoice, take the money. Corporations, it's not the same as foundations, where you have to, it may not necessarily be the same. It depends on the corporation. But typically when you go to a business and you say, hey, I need $15,000, $20,000, $30,000. This is what I need it for. This is the work that I'm going to do. It's like, okay, great. Bam, here's the money, report back. Of course they want to know that their money's being used, but it's not the same sort of stringent expectations or expectations of deliverables as you might have with foundation money. Okay. And even sometimes contracts. So let's bring it back. Let's recap. So we're saying right now the 4 different ways, and y'all, there might be 5 or 6. You talking to somebody who will make a way out of nowhere. No way. Okay. So, we might need to go to Mars to get some money. You know what I'm saying? Got to figure out them spacesuits. All right. We're going to figure it out. But for right now, we talked about 4. 1, the foundation dollars, where you have to write grants. But again, the grants are a backup document. There is a level of relationship building with foundations as well. So understand that. So you got your foundations, you have your major gifts, which are your individuals, which is where it all is going to come from, whether it's actual money, whether it's in-kind support, whether it's other types of resources, whether it's getting connected to other people who can help you. That is where strategically you should spend the majority of your time, right? Is developing relationships with individuals, because it feeds in to all of the other areas. So it feeds into the foundations, finding out, someone can put a good word in for you, get you a meeting with somebody at a foundation. That's an individual. That's a relationship thing. So you got your foundations, you got your major gifts, which is individuals. You've got your contracts. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with fee for service. Okay. If you have something that another organization needs, they can either contract out with you directly, or they can go and be the lead on a grant, and you can be a subcontractor. So let's say they say they're going to provide training on this larger grant. all these different types of training. Maybe they're only good at 2 types of training, but there's a third type that you do that they can bring you in and subcontract with you in order to do that work. So contracts are good. They're lucrative. They're good. Do not sleep on contracts either. Then you've got your corporate sponsorships, your corporate donations or contributions. And sometimes this is where if you have an event, a conference, or you're bringing people together. Sometimes corporations it's a lot easier for them to give money when they decide that they want to do it. They don't have to jump through all the different hoops that some foundations have to do. Sometimes you don't necessarily have to go through the very long application process and all this type of thing. The right person in a corporation, they can write you a $20,000-$25,000 check. Okay. And that's on the low end, depending on, I have mentors who would balk at that. Like, that's it. So they can do things like that very easily, okay, without you having to jump through all of the hoops. And sometimes they can do that because they have a marketing budget. So you might say, here's a marketing opportunity at my conference, and I want you to be there. And I'm going to have, you got to make it enticing. And I'll make another video about how to entice the corporations, okay? Entice the corporations. But for right now, you bring the corporations in, and like I said, they can easily cut you a check and write it off for marketing purposes. A lot of people say, well, it's a tax deduction. Okay, corporations, businesses do care about tax deductions, but they also care about marketing expense. Like, there's things that are already in their line items that is already there that they can justify easier. Oh, it's a marketing expense. Okay, here you go. Okay? All right. So I hope that was helpful. Diversify your funds. Be very creative about how you get yourself out there. Of course, at the core of it all, it's your brand. It's how you are putting yourself out there, how you are presenting. And again, if you need me to help you build up that foundation, so to speak, of your messaging, of the strategy on how to reach out to these different populations of revenue, let me know. Because again, it's not something you have to do on your own. It's not something you should do. Again, we all, I know when we first start in a nonprofit, we trying to cut the corners. We trying to save the monies. And in the process of trying to save the money, what is frustrating to me, and I keep seeing when my clients come to me, is in the process of trying to save money, they lose money, because then they start putting money into things that they shouldn't have paid for, or taking people's advice whom they shouldn't have taken, instead of going to a nonprofit coach and saying, walk me through this process so I can avoid all of this. And then you can use your funds for a real return on investment. All right? All right, y'all. So don't be like Jane. Jane went out here and spent all this money on third party support that she could have got for free. Don't be like Jane. Call Shalita. All right, y'all. Y'all know I love you. It's Shalita, the nonprofit Easter O'Neill. If you need me, 101 ShalitaO'Neill.com. Don't be afraid. Don't be shy. Diversify them funds, y'all. And I'll see you next time. Until then, be blessed.